Hello and welcome to the Liverpool Way podcast. The Reds got back to winning ways with a 2-0 win over Wolves at Anfield to move up to 6th in the Premier League. Second half goals from Van Dijk and Salah were enough to seal the 3 points, while the overall performance carried plenty of positives to take into the weekend's big game against United. I'm Chris Smith, and joining me to discuss this one and to look ahead to Sunday are Paul Natton and TLW editor Dave Usher, both of whom have just got in from Anfield. Dave, I thought that was pretty good for the most part. Some decent performances all over the pitch, and we could have won by a few more. What did you make of it?
Yeah, it's easy to say because we won, but I thought we played well. It wasn't a brilliant game. I thought the first half we were a bit unlucky. I thought we played some decent stuff at times. It just wasn't quite there, and you can see it's a team that's lacking a little bit of confidence. But the second half was better, and we reacted really well to the disallowed Darwin goal. That really could have just, because it took the air out the building completely. The crowds went quiet for a bit after, and it could have had a real negative effect on us. But I thought the players reacted well to that, and then once we were 1-0 up, confidence is higher, and we've scored a great second goal. And overall, Wolves had maybe one shot early in the first half. Other than that, didn't really threaten. I thought we dealt with the counter-attacks well. Stopped them at source most of the time, and if they did get in behind, we defended it well. Some nice stuff going forward, just wasn't quite there. But, Harvey puts that header away in the first half, and I think it's a completely different game. I think we run out comfortable winners. So overall, yeah, not really much to not be happy about. I thought it was, like, as you say, good individual performances, decent team performance, and made up with the win, because that's what we need. It's performances are all well and good, but we've got to get points, and we've got 10 from 12 now. So, I said after the Palace one, although it's an awful game, not a great performance, if we beat Wolves 10 points from 12, we're all okay with that. Maybe you can. 10 points from 12 isn't great if you're chasing Man City at the top of the league, as we have been for the last 5 years, but we're going for fourth. That's fine. If we can keep up like this pace, we'll cruise fourth. 10 from every 12 from now to the end of the season. I'm not saying we're going to do that, but
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, we don't need to win every game, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The odd draw, even the odd defeat's not going to be catastrophic. More wins like tonight. With games where you're supposed to win, make sure you win, and it's fine. So yeah, all in all, pleasing night.
Good stuff. Paul, it's easy to say that this was only Wolves. They're struggling down at the bottom end of the table, but they battered us 3 weeks ago. So to come out tonight and put in a decent performance and sort of nullify their threat, and as Dave say defended well and put in some good performances all over the field, was quite encouraging. What did you like about it?
Yeah, I thought it was. You come away feeling great. Really, it's good to get a win at Anfield. Good to have some goals in the second half. Good to see some goals at the top end. The first half was, not very enjoyable. Really, tempo was a bit one-paced. I felt like we weren't getting Darwin into the game enough. Certainly, the first half hour at least, we were a little bit better. Sort of last 10 minutes of the first half. It was a little bit frustrating, I think, that the tempo just wasn't there. But then I also, at that point, just took stock a little bit and thought, but actually, if you look at them individually, everyone's playing well.
Yeah,
there were no individual was struggling or having a bad game. So it's one of them where you just think, no, it'll come. I certainly don't think Wolves looked anything like as threatening as they were when we last played them. They look, I don't know. Didn't offer much at all. Very, very little threat. I think some of that was because we were more compact, better organised, and I think Dave was saying, just cut off a lot of their balls forward at source. We just seem to be much more at the the nitty gritty stuff that's not very showy, that you don't really notice when it's done well. I think a lot of that was done much better.
The midfield three, they were getting a foot in and winning the ball.
Excuse me, absolutely. I think going into the game, I was a little bit worried about. We were actually chatting beforehand, me, Dave, and John, and then Dan. Yeah, I think Dan was there as well. We were talking about this, just talking about how we just a lack of power in midfield is a concern. in general this season. Moving forward into next that needs addressing. And then I also felt, particularly with the two kids in there, that could get exploited tonight, but that just wasn't the case at all. I thought Harvey and Bajcetic both put in really good performances. I think Harvey, I don't know, I thought Harvey was superb.
Thought
he was really good.
Yeah,
I think there's an argument for that, definitely. Really put a shift in. Really, I think he's very much aware of how he can be out-muscled sometimes, and he's definitely trying to compensate with a little bit more aggression in terms of his closing down and his pressing. I still think he needs to put on a little bit of body mass. He needs to do a Trent and Grock out a little bit, or actually more appropriately, probably do a Mo and just get that core strength so he can protect the ball a little bit better. But it didn't. He looked really good tonight. In that regard, he wasn't out-muscled at all. I don't think he didn't get bullied at all. Had some good chances. I think the missed header was disappointing, but I thought he had a really good game. So yeah, very encouraging. I think just talking about the how we came more into it in the second half. The frustration was when you're looking at the front three in the first half. You just want to see a bit more created. I think very much, again, we said before the game, and it's a point Dave made on the pod a couple of weeks ago, that if we're going to get top four, really, it's probably going to be the forwards that will get us there. They'll score us the goals, although we do seem to be racking up the clean sheets at the moment, which is nice. But the fact that we weren't creating that much and we weren't really involving Darwin too much was a bit frustrating. But setting off, not a problem at all. We kept, I think everybody improved, created a little bit, but created quite a lot more actually. Thought Trent had a good game.
Really good.
Overall just really encouraging. Not one where you come away, Chris, I don't think, where you're kind of like buzzing and excited. One of those where you come away and the more you think about it, the more sort of quietly satisfied you are, maybe even a little bit impressed as well, given the context, And I suppose that's probably, I think I'd rather be there at the moment rather than coming away buzzing after the season we've had, because if you're coming away buzzing after the way things have been going, you'd be thinking, is that just a one-off? Yeah. But the fact that it feels like we're just starting to get a little bit of momentum feels quite satisfying, really. I still think, I'm not jumping ahead here. I still think, because I know we'll talk about it in more depth later, I still think Sunday's very concerning, but I certainly feel coming away tonight that, we are starting to find a rhythm, we're starting to find a groove, the players individually and collectively are finding form, the clean sheets are racking up, we're scoring. So, yeah, great, very, very satisfying 3 points, I think.
Good. I think, Dave, from my perspective, some of the difference tonight compared to some of the games that we've seen in recent weeks, I thought that we had a lot more control over everything. It never seemed like situations were getting away from us. We didn't really seem like we were on the back foot and everything. And I thought we just defended quite well as a team tonight. And the midfield was pretty essential on that. And I've given him so much stick over the last few weeks this season and back into last season really as well. But I thought Fabinho was really, really good and really integral to what we were doing tonight. So I'd just like to crack open a beer in Fabinho's honour, because he was really good tonight.
I'm going to have a roast dinner.
Almost got himself sent off it. Sorry?
I'm going to have a big roast dinner in as well.
That's a bad idea at 11:30 at night. But yeah, just good on the ball and good coming to meet the ball when it was cleared and getting us back on the front foot again. And if he can keep this up, then perhaps he can still turn the corner, because I thought it was a bit premature when you guys were saying after Everton and after Real Madrid that he was kind of looking more like his old self, and Stu said he was kind of might have been our best player, and it's always a little bit eyebrow raising when your best player is your defensive midfielder and you've been battered 5-2 and completely overrun. But tonight I genuinely did think he had a really good game.
Yeah, I agreed with Stu. I gave him man of the match in the match report for that game. The only thing he did wrong was just when he got caught in possession and Modric robbed him, and he should have fouled him and he didn't. But no, he's definitely been much better the last few weeks, and I thought he had a really good game tonight. The whole midfield did. I think Bajcetic kind of had his balls cut off a little bit with that fucking ridiculous yellow card early on. That Paul Tierney, I just don't want him anywhere near our games. he's terrible. I don't know if he's like that in other games or if he's just like with us or what, but he's just terrible. I mean, that was just such an unnecessary booking that he gave there. I mean, it's his first foul. It's not a bad foul. It's not in a dangerous area of the pitch or anything. It's like you just give the free kick and you say, all right, kid, calm down a bit. Next one, you might be in trouble. You don't give him a yellow card for that. Because after that, you could visibly see for the rest of the game, Bajcetic just not putting tackles in because he knows he's like, I can't put my foot in here. He still played well.
He pulled out of one late on, didn't he, Dave?
Yeah,
there was one second half where he pulled out because he was on a yellow.
And there's a couple where the crowd winced, thinking, he's going to go in, and he
that
didn't.
Came across on TV.
Yeah, and
the one by the touchline.
Very mature. That he didn't. Yeah, it was by the touchline. It was by where I sit. Yeah, he didn't dive in, and I'm like, that's good that he didn't, but he shouldn't be in this position where he's having to even think about that because just the overly officious referee. I mean, it was just ridiculous. It pissed me off because I knew it was going to affect how he was going to play, and he'd started the game like a fucking house on fire. By the way, he was fantastic.
Did you see the way he took that ball? I think was it Canate or Fabinho which fired the ball at him really hard.
It was,
and he took it on the turn.
It was Alisson.
Was it Alisson? Oh no, it was Alisson. You're right. Sorry. Yeah.
It was
what a touch that was.
I know. Yeah, it was really good. I mean, he was playing so well, and the tackle he done when he had to chase back in the 1v1 from I think we'd had a corner. Yeah, he's the last man back from our corner.
That's right.
And they tried to get that Nunes in a ball over the top, and he just does that fucking boss slide tackle.
That's when you can see the former centre half in him. I thought that's the first time I've looked at him and thought, oh yeah, he used to play centre half when he made that tackle. I thought,
no,
you can see your upbringing.
But it pissed me off that he got that book, and it was so harsh. And it does affect the way he plays the rest of the game. I still thought he had a good game. I just feel like that just neutered him a bit. But the midfield was really good. As I say, I thought Harvey was our best player tonight. I thought his work rate was just fantastic. He was really inventive, good on the ball. Just a shame he couldn't have put away one of the chances he had because that performance deserved the goal. But just going back to the first half, I think, I totally agree that, the tempo was too low. I said that at half time, talking to the lads underneath, and, I said, maybe 4 or 5 times in that half, we upped the tempo, and, it usually only happened when we won the ball in their half. Fabinho will nip in front and get a toe in, and then we're suddenly on the front foot. Whenever we did that, we looked good. But when we weren't doing that and we were just passing it around, the tempo was too low and we weren't hurting Wolves at all. But every good moment we had was just when we played with that little bit of extra zip. But I think it's spot on what you said, Paul, about everybody was playing well, even though the team performance wasn't exhilarating. We weren't creating loads of chances or anything. When you just looked around, nobody was struggling. Everybody seemed to be playing well. Darwin wasn't really in it much, but that wasn't really through any fault of his own. I thought Jota was a bit hit and miss in the first half, but he was trying to get involved. And I thought in the second half, Jota looked like, the old Jota. I thought he
much better,
excellent.
Much better,
second half. Really lively. Getting himself involved, running at people, just making a nuisance of himself. So that was really good to see. But nobody played badly, so even though it was a bit of a slog, it was 0-0, we'd not created that much. As you say, you didn't feel terrible about it because individuals looked pretty good. So that was a big plus from tonight, was that just everybody performed to a good standard. I mean, I didn't think anybody was sensational by any means, but everybody looked confident, knew what they were doing, the shape of the team was good. You do have to take into account that Wolves were not particularly ambitious. They weren't exactly as bad as Everton, but they weren't really showing too much. I thought they did do in the second half, though. The substitutions that he made kind of gave off the impression that their manager was thinking, okay, we can nick this here, because he started bringing on attacking players and taking off a midfielder. So, he brought Traore on at half time, then he brings on Podence and what's the other lad's name? Zhao something. A young forward player, Zhao Felix or something, I don't know. But they had an attacking line up there for probably the last half an hour of the game. Maybe that helped us, maybe it just opened things up just that little bit more for us. But we took advantage. Goal disallowed. Probably the right decision from what I've been told. I've not seen it back, but I think the giveaway for me with that was everybody was celebrating like mad except Jota. and it was like he kind of knows that this is a bit iffy. You know, Darwin's absolutely giving it the beans, doing that thing again where he's like punching himself on his injured shoulder. Now, I don't know if that is his injured shoulder, but it doesn't matter, because even if it's not, he then follows it up with this, like, you know, triple fist pump with his other bad arm. I'm like, you know, if you've got an injury, don't be doing that. You know, just chill out a little bit. So I'd like to think that means his shoulder's not that bad, but he did that against Real Madrid, didn't he? And then he misses the next game because of it. So
don't say that, Dave.
Hopefully he's not aggravated anything ahead of Sunday. But you know, someone needs to tell him, just chill out a little bit. You've got a bad shoulder. Take it easy.
Good luck telling
touch and finish, wasn't
I know, anyway. Telling the Uruguayan striker to go down. Yeah, that's not going to go well.
That's like telling. Well, I won't say it because, but it's like, you know, telling your angry wife to calm down. It's like red rag to a bull. It's the worst thing you can possibly do. Yeah,
but it's a shame his goal didn't count, because I would have liked him to have gotten a score sheet. Like, think, you know, the more he scores, the better his confidence is going to keep.
It was quality as well. It was really composed, lovely touch and finish.
And he did a lot of good things as well in the second half. Like, he had that boss run down the left, just the cross was too close to the keeper. But I just love watching him. I mean, even when like he's not doing that much, like in the first half, he still has like that. Because I thought Jota completely overhit that pass, and Darwin still manages to get there before it runs out and dig out a cross, and Harvey should score with the header. But like that's a couple of times we've seen that. Because there was one a few weeks ago where it looked like the pass had been overhit, and
true.
And
almost
he got
the same
there
place,
and he cut it back. Yeah, so you know, there's no lost causes with him, is there? Because he's just so fast, he can just get to everything. But I just love watching him, even when things aren't like going great. You just know he's going to do something.
Do you know what a little frustration of mine with Darwin is I thought, particularly in the first half, we didn't look for the ball over the top at all. Wolves at times, when Alisson had the ball, were playing quite a high line. And I just thought every so often, just give him something to think about. You know, even if it doesn't come off, just change it up a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, you know,
make that run that Sadio used to make.
I think sometimes though that's a ball that Robbo looks for a lot. Robbo will play that ball down the line into space for Darwin to chase. Now, Costas has probably never played with him before. I think that might be the first time they've played together down that side. So you're not always going to have like that particular understanding. But there have been like some good signs that Robbo and Darwin have started to, you know, to get it together a little bit. So looking forward to that on Sunday, see what they can do on that side. But I thought the right hand side of the team functioned well tonight. I thought like some of the interplay in the first half, like little one-touch passing, little balls around the corner, and that with Trent and Mo was like, didn't lead to anything, but it was great to watch. You know, they looked like they were right on it.
Yeah, good stuff. And just sticking with Darwin for a minute, I mean, if he gets his goal on Sunday, I'll
talk about some more of the whole podcast. If you want to dedicate the whole podcast to talking about Darwin, I'm happy to do that. It's my favourite topic at the moment, because I don't really enjoy talking about anything else.
Right, well, just one more thing that I noticed tonight, that he had a massive grin on his face like the whole night. Like his smile is, I don't know, he's got this really infectious, like cheeky, boyish smile that you wouldn't think he'd have by looking at him. And it was, you know, he had a big grin on his face all night tonight. Celebrated the goal with like loads of beans and everything, and the ones that actually counted as well. And there were a few occasions where things didn't come off, and he had that like Mo-like smile on his face instead of sort of, you know, being grumpy with the fact that it hadn't come off. And clearly, Paul, I just think he loves playing at Anfield, and that's a good sign for us.
Yeah, definitely. And as I said before as well, I just think the signs that he's there's a bit more delicacy coming into his game. I mean, he's a very explosive player, isn't he? But I think there's a bit more touch and composure starting to be seen now. And I just feel like the understanding is beginning to come. He's not somebody. I mean, there's been a lot of change in the team, hasn't there? It's been a team that's also really badly struggled for any sort of form or consistency. But I just do feel like the signs are there that he's starting to click with various other players, and also his own game is settling as well. It's obvious that he buzzes off the reaction that the crowd give him at Anfield. He loves the fact that his name gets chanted, and I think there's a special relationship coming there. I think between the cop and him. Obviously, he just needs to get into a real vein of goals. But I just feel it's coming. I do feel it's coming. You just see from game to game, the improvements are clearly there. He's got all the makings of being a top class forward for us. I think it's just a matter of time, really. I feel at this stage it'll come. It'll definitely come.
And we talked about it just before we came on air, but you mentioned those more refined elements of his game that we're starting to see now. That little chest layoff to Harvey for his shot
lovely,
was
wasn't it?
Fantastic. Yeah. Really, really nice. So
and the thing that surprised me most about him from looking at him just before, I didn't know a huge amount about him before we signed him, but obviously watched a few bits and pieces when we did. I hadn't really appreciated how good he is at picking out other players. And the understanding that he has with Mo, I think, is clear. He looks for other players continually, and his awareness of where they are is really good. I think he's actually pretty precise with where he puts the ball when he's when he's trying to play somebody else in. And there seems to be an understanding of where the other player needs the ball to be in order to work the keeper at the very least. It's not just speculative stuff that he puts in. He plays people into really dangerous situations. Harvey probably should have done a lot better with that one. He basically put it on a plate for Harvey, really. When he was the pass was definitely overhit by Jota and he was stretching, but he put it exactly where Harvey needed it, and Harvey just totally misjudged it. So yeah, I definitely think my initial impressions of him being very, very raw, I think, are becoming tempered a little now. I think he's starting to, the rough edges are starting to come off a little bit, and he's starting to find a groove. And I do think there's a real player in there. He's very exciting, definitely. Really exciting player.
And Dave, as you were saying last week, just to go from Paul's point there about how he's laying people on with a lot of precision. You guys were talking about how he's second or something in the XA stats, the expected assists. I mean, that only goes to prove that point. Like, he crossed in for Harvey's header tonight. He laid on the other one as well, the shot that the keeper saved well. So yes, some good stuff on the assist front as well. And hopefully the goals do come on Sunday. So to go back to the start of the game, I thought it was quite open in the first few minutes, some good situations for both teams. And then it got to like about half an hour, and I kind of thought that our tempo was okay until Wolves had that lengthy injury delay for the midfielder, like midway through the. Actually, I think it was the left back. Yeah,
he went off,
and I thought that killed the momentum, and then the crowd got a bit flat, and then there was a little 5-minute period where there was the players and the manager got a little bit head shaky. Did you guys in the stadium feel that? Was it starting to get a little bit tense, or was everybody still kind of okay with how it was going?
I think you're spot on there, Chris. It was exactly that moment. You're right. It was around the point when the left back went down. Do you know what? Just on that point, has there been a rule change in terms of injured players this season? Because it seems to me that no one gets asked to leave the pitch anymore.
Yeah, he was right on the touchline, wasn't he? They could have just rolled him over.
I mean, I honestly, I think that's been a consistent factor all season, where the tempo and flow of games has been broken by players getting treated on the pitch. Has that rule changed? It used to be that you'd only say you only stop the game if somebody had a head injury, and if you were injured and you needed treatment, you go off the pitch. I mean, we've seen a succession of players. It seems like week after week, you see somebody who's down for a minute, 2 minutes, and then they get up and walk off. I just don't get it. I don't understand what's going on. And of course, the referees are saying, yeah, we'll have the time on. And we are seeing in the league that loads of games seem to be having 5, 6, 7 minutes added on at various points. But it's not really about the time for me. It's about what it does to the flow of the game and the tempo. It kind of makes it more stilted, and it stops us, particularly, I think, getting into our rhythm. Has there been a rule change, or what's going on with it?
No,
I haven't heard that.
Just Paul T.
But I think we've seen it a few times this season. But coming back to your point, Chris, I think that you're spot on. That was exactly the moment, and it did. I mean, I was getting a bit touchy myself then. It was doing my head in a little bit. It was annoying that the tempo wasn't really there, and that's probably, I said earlier, I got to the end of the first half and I took stock and actually thought, well, hang on, everyone's actually playing pretty well. I took this, I actually had to remind myself to think about the individual performances, which I think just that tempo thing created a false impression, really. I think actually we were playing some pretty decent stuff, even if there wasn't a huge amount of end product to show for it.
When the left back went off, like, we seen that Eight Nori was coming on, and like me and John was saying, oh, you know, we like him, decent player, that Eight Nori, and like who's actually playing left back then? And then I went, oh, it's Bueno. I went, he's good. And I sat there and I'm laughing, and John didn't get it. He went, yeah, he's all right, he's not bad. And I was just pissing myself laughing. And then he's like, oh.
Poor Johnny gets tortured sat next to you.
I know. You got him again.
You have to make a theme of it now.
Oh, it is relentless, like.
The original tonight, John should have been sat in my seat, and your dad should have been sat with you, because it was this was supposed to be the Saturday game, wasn't it? When the Queen popped her clog, so he would have got away with that one, and your dad would have had to put up with it. But
My
all
dad
those
would have
years,
probably been the one cracking that gag.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, like, all of those years, you've been talking about the stuff your dad comes out with during the game, but it's really been you all along.
Yeah.
Never mind. Or at least the acorn don't fall very far from the tree anyway.
Definitely funnier than me dad. Come on.
I know, I'd prefer to sit next to him anyway. I'd take Eddie's experience and wisdom all day long over...
No, you'd be listening to him, like, just going on about Alisson the whole game.
His taste in goalkeepers.
Yeah, but there was a couple... And you know what? It's rubbed off on me to some extent, because I'm not comfortable when Alisson's got the ball at his feet. I'm just not. I'm always just, like, waiting for him to do something, like, dodgy. And there was a couple tonight that had me going, oh, fucking hell, I'm glad my dad's not sat here. Because I could hear him, you know, I know exactly what he'd be saying. But yeah, Alisson with his feet, I'm not comfortable. But like,
well, you're not alone, Dave.
He's great at everything else. Don't get me wrong.
This season.
He's absolutely amazing at everything else. But when the ball's at his feet, I'm always like, oh, just like there was one, and he just put it out to play. He just like tried to knock it towards Costas. It went over his head, and people were like, oh, and I'm like, no, that's fine. I'm completely fine with that. I'd much rather him do that than try and play like. So like at times it's like he thinks he's Thiago. He's like trying to like thread little passes through. I'm like, no, just don't be doing that. I know he's told to do that, like told to play off in the back, but fucking hell, it just has me mouth too many times.
Do you remember like Everton under Allardyce when they'd have Pickford just boot the ball out of play deliberately?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what we want in this situation.
He'd just be seeing how far up the field he could kick it. It was just like rugby union, wasn't it?
Kicking for touch.
And he'd be celebrating if he'd beaten his last one. He'd like gained an extra 10 yards. You know, when you watch Pickford, though, it's like, I always think this is like, when the ball comes to Pickford, it's coming to his feet. He's got like a little bounce, like an excited bounce. It's, you know, that's like the highlight of his game. He just loves being able to just like kick the ball as far as he can. And you see him like he'll do it and he'll admire it. He'll watch the flight like it's a golf shot or something. And it's, I just like to, I'm watching him and I can put myself in his head because I can see what he's thinking. And it's like the highlight of his game is when he gets to just show, look at me, look at my left foot, watch me just fucking ping this ball. And it's like, there's definitely something not right about him. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's something, like he's on the spectrum of something, I don't know. There's definitely something not right about Jordan Pickford. And the fact that he's just signed a new contract with Everton, just even that tells you there's something not right there.
That's a weird one, that.
Why would you do that? He's far too good for them. Why is he doing that?
Bizarre.
For me, he's just got that like that demeanour of the weird kid who liked being in goal at school.
Who eats crayons.
That he's never quite grown out of. Like
who eats crayons.
He always looks like he's probably got a snotty nose and he's wiped it on his sleeve all the time. He's that kid.
Mm-hmm. And his shit haircut doesn't help either, does it? Yeah. He looks like he's got a haircut from school as well.
His mad did put a bowl on his head. That's my fault. I've just somehow just like got onto Pickford and I don't even know how.
Because we were talking about Alisson's kicking.
Yeah, they got beat 4-0 tonight as well. So
they did, didn't they?
There is that. Yeah.
I'm not sure why he signed that new contract though. To be honest, like he's got plenty more of that to come, hasn't he?
There must be a buyout clause or something. There must be a fee that he can go for.
You can subscribe to the Liverpool Way podcast on all the major platforms, whether it's Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon or Podbean. Just search for the Liverpool Way, leave us a review and hit subscribe to automatically receive all new episodes. You can also head to liverpoolway.co.uk and grab a TLW season ticket for just £3 a month. There's tons of exclusive content, including match reports from every Liverpool game, weekly Premier League roundups, the TLW diary, and access to the members-only forum. Lastly, you can follow us on social media at The Liverpool Way on Twitter and at The Liverpool Way TLW on Instagram and Facebook. Anyway, second half, right? We come out and it's much more lively, like from the off, straight away. A nice little move involving Trent. And I thought Trent was like really at it tonight.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if word got back to him about people talking about his body language, but he looked really at it. There was a lot more sort of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Just composure and conviction about everything he did tonight, more than we've seen in recent weeks. And he wasn't threatened that much defensively, but there was some real touches of class scattered throughout the evening, and I thought he had his best game in a long time, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, I love Trent. I absolutely love him. And I think he probably is our most talented player. I think he's absolutely sensational. And I think a lot of some of the sloppiness that we've seen this season was thankfully missing from his game tonight. There was none of the overly ambitious stuff or the stuff which is, too casual. None of that was there. He just seemed focused, really. He seemed like he was concentrating, really, really concentrating. And he was putting a shift in physically. I thought he had a really good game. I thought he was superb. One thing I thought was really strange was why Klopp brought him off so late on. It was bizarre. I thought, if he was going to do it, why not? Because clearly he wants to protect him, I guess, for Sunday. Why not do it as soon as the second goal went in if he's bringing Milner on for him? I think he went off with only about 3 minutes left or something crazy like that.
Usually those late subs is just to get like an ovation from the crowd. Mm-hmm. So it may have just been, because he played well. Did like a really good game. I mean, I've said Harvey's man of the match. It could easily be Trent, to be fair. I
thought Trent was
I need to sleep on that before the match report, because I might give that to Trent, because he just did everything really well.
And popping up in different positions as well, and not being caught, and pressing hard. He was making, he was overlapping motor press. It was the front man pressing on at least 3 occasions, and I just thought, I thought he was really, really good.
Well, who went off with Trent? It was double. Was it Darwin as well?
It was. Wasn't it Milner? Didn't Milner and Bobby come on at the same time?
Yeah, so it was. Yeah, it was Darwin.
Yeah, it was Darwin.
Trent. I think that was just to milk the applause. I think
maybe
that's probably why.
Well, while we're talking about one fullback, I want to just mention the other one as well. I thought Kostas was really good, and I thought
best game of the season. Yeah,
yeah. I thought he just basically had a Darmatruri in his pocket, really, unless there was something I missed at the other end. I thought he handled him for strength. He didn't get his positioning was really good, so that Traore couldn't really exploit his pace. Yeah. I thought he was absolutely sensational on the second goal.
Yeah.
I thought he was brilliant. Where Gakpo sort of like plays a little ball through and he knocks it into the space and runs on, exploits his pace, and then crosses it for Mo. I thought he was superb. I just thought he had a really, really good game.
He did.
He's actually, you look at him and there's times where you think, how are you our backup left back? There's times when you think he's actually he's too good to be a backup. So I think we're really lucky to have him when he can put in performances like the one he did tonight. Yeah. It's really reassuring, actually. And I suppose the other thing as well is goes back to a point we've been making. Various of us have been making on the pod and in the group chat over the last few weeks. Is that it actually helps Robbo, doesn't it? It puts pressure on him for his place. Mm-hmm. Also gives him a rest, and Trent could probably do with the same on the other side. I think Jules was making the point the other day that, and I'd made it in the group chat last week, that Trent does need some genuine competition. It's just great to see that we've got that on the left, and it seems to be working really well because Robbo's had a good season. One of the few who's had a really good, consistent season, and Kostas is coming into the team and playing well like he did tonight. So I was really impressed with Kostas tonight. I just thought it was important to say that because I think Adama Traore coming on at half time like he does there, it's one of them where you're thinking, and I know he's a very hot and cold player, more cold than hot, but even so he does have some basic attributes which could be a threat, and I just thought he dealt with him comfortably.
There was one in particular down by by the touchline where he saw him out for the goal kick, and I'm sure you guys will recall the big ovation he got for doing that. It's no small feat. Like, Kostas isn't exactly a big lad. And another thing as well, he's barely played. Like, we've barely seen him for weeks. Robbo's been, starting game after game. And that's 6 assists for Kostas this season now.
Really?
Like,
Is it?
6. Yeah.
Wow.
So he's no slouch in that department either.
That's more than Robbo and Trent, isn't it?
I don't know, to be honest. I just saw a tweet before we came on from Dave. What's his name? Dave O.C. Cop. What's that guy's name? His actual name?
Sorry.
No idea. You just
Dave
O.C.
O.C. Cop. Is it O'Connor or whatever? But he's like got 376,000 followers on Twitter, and I see him pop up all the time. But anyway, 6 assists for Kostas tonight. Did really well at both ends of the field, and we'll talk about Sunday in a bit. But like, it's a massive bonus for us to have Robbo fresh as a daisy for that game on Sunday.
Defo.
And yeah, should we talk about the goals then? Because we thought we'd taken the lead like half an hour before the end. Great run through from Jota Dave. One of those where he sort of like weaves his way through the defence and gets a lucky bounce here and there. And you think he's going to have an opportunity to shoot. It doesn't work out, but the ball breaks for Darwin. Nice touch finish, knocks it in. But as you said before we came on the air, Jota's the only one who doesn't really celebrate that goal, and it turned out for good reason, because there probably was a foul there in allowing Darwin to get on the ball.
Yeah, I haven't seen it back, so I'm just going on what other people have said, and Klopp disagrees. Klopp doesn't think it was a foul, but most other people seem to think they're not surprised it was disallowed. But I just think it kind of got Jota going again, just the run. That was what Jota was doing when he was really at the top of his game, and you weren't really sure how he'd do it because he's not that quick or anything, but he just seemed to go past people.
Quite bustling, isn't he, when he does that?
And that when he's at his best, he does that. He can just have those runs where people just can't get it off him, and he'll carry it 40 yards. So it's really good to see, and lovely finish. Unfortunately, it gets ruled out. But then on the first goal, I thought Jota was brilliant again. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do that. He's alert to the
I don't
rebound,
think he had any right to do it, Dave. I thought it was really good to keep it in.
Yeah, the cross is just outstanding, right on Virgil's head. Tremendous.
I appreciated just how much Virgil asked the first attempt. It came off his shoulder, didn't it?
Yeah.
And then Jota. I mean, Jota absolutely pings it back into where he knows Virgil is. It's a great ball in. Yeah, it's a really good goal, that.
And, Verge gets on the score sheet, and I thought he had a good game tonight. He looked more like his dominant self. And I think I know what's happened there. He's gone off to that FIFA event where everybody's told him how great he is again.
He got
and
picked
it's done
in
wonders
the team
for
of the
him.
year, didn't he?
I know.
The only centre-back. They had this weird formation with one centre-back.
That's mad, that formation, isn't it?
But I think that's going to be the key with him. We just need somebody around Verge telling him how great he is all the time, so he doesn't get his back up about being criticised. Yeah. And then he's going to perform better and, scores the goal and plays well tonight. And I think the official poll, the Twitter poll that the club put out, Verge was given man of the match, and I'm not sure I'd go along with that, but
Verge
it's
was
good
man
to
of the
see
match.
him playing well.
No,
I thought he played well, but he didn't have a huge amount to do. I mean, obviously he got his goal. I thought there was I thought he played well. I don't want to kind of put a scorn on it, but I just thought there were other players who were far more deserving of that award. No, he had a good game. Strange one.
This is the poll the club puts out, so you've got all and sundry voting on it. So, but
the internet hordes.
Beg your pardon.
The internet hordes.
Yes, the masses.
The Twitter twats.
Yeah. And,
I'm surprised Keita didn't get it. If it was a Twitter vote.
He wasn't even on the bench tonight.
Stu Monty hitting refresh on his Twitter poll.
Oh, yeah.
Naby, refresh. Naby, refresh. Naby, refresh.
A knock, they said.
Okay.
Yeah, that's bullshit, isn't it? He just doesn't fancy it. He definitely doesn't fancy it, I think. He's definitely had enough now, I think. He's at down tool stage, I think, or not far off.
He wasn't missed, let's just say that.
No, definitely not. And, speaking of people who were actually back in the team tonight, maybe I haven't been following this very closely, but when I saw the team announced, I was quite surprised to see Konate back in there. I didn't think he was going to be ready yet. And it was reassuring to have him back in there as well. I thought he had a decent game apart from that one time where he got completely had off on the touchline by Ait Nouri. It wasn't a foul. And Ait Nouri was like running through on, towards the 6-yard box, and Tierney
it looked
being
soft.
one of the
Obviously,
it was soft as anything.
Yeah.
It was soft as Pele's penis, but may you rest in peace. Oh no!
Oh, you can't believe you went there.
No, I made the joke and then I realised we lost the great Pele recently.
Yeah, you need new material because you can't use that one anymore.
No, I mean, I'm going to have to explain that now because people are going to be all upset about it. His penis is not going to be soft because he passed away about 20 years ago.
You're making it worse.
No, he passed away. His penis is soft because he did the erectile dysfunction commercial a few years ago, and there's nothing wrong with that either. But the commercial was brilliant because he would go, "Get help." I would. Do you remember?
I know he did the advert, but I don't think I ever seen the advert.
No, same.
I've had an absolute tragedy there, haven't I?
You really have, yeah. You just spoken for about 2.5 minutes about Pele's cock.
Yeah.
Oh no. Anyway, it was a soft foul, softer than somebody else's penis. Yeah, so that was a classic case of Paul Tierney being one of those, archetypal referees who haven't played the game, not understanding how it works, and we got away with one there. But apart from that, it was reassuring to have him in the team, and again, good news to have him on that right-hand side of the centre backs backing up Trent on Sunday.
Yeah, it shows up that side of the pitch. He probably could have played against Palace because he trained all last week, but I think they were just a bit careful. Give him a bit of extra training time before they bring him back in. Because, he has been back in training for a little while now. So it's a nice tune-up game for him tonight, and we're going to need him to be at his best because that side of the field is where they're going to be looking at getting him behind Trent with Rashford probably. So, Konate's going to have a big job on his hands on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Paul, we've briefly referenced the second goal. It came quite quickly after the first, and the game was kind of over then, really. But Gakpo had come on then for who did he come on for? Jota, right? Gakpo had come on for Jota,
that's right.
And basically his first involvement in the game was that nice little 1-2 with Costas, who then laid it on for Mo. And I suppose it's good as well that we've got a sub coming off the bench who's having an impact, because that's been an issue for us this season, not only just because we haven't really had that fourth striker fit that often in the last few months, especially since the World Cup, but now we've got two of them, and Diaz to come back as well, hopefully sooner rather than later. And in terms of Mo tonight, I didn't think he had a great game. I thought he was probably bottom tier of our performance tonight. I don't know if you guys would go along with that, but he got his goal, and that's 20 goals for the season, 6 years in a row, every season since we've had him.
Wow, what a player. I mean, he's in the all-time 11 for me, no doubt, nailed on. He's an absolutely sensational player. Was it a bit of a? I didn't quite see the finish properly. Was it a bit of a scruffy finish?
Thigh.
Did it thigh? Was it right? Okay. I thought he did well to get into that position. I just back. Yeah, I mean, just love Mo. I mean, what more is there to say about him? He's fantastic. And good to see him still in the goals. In what's clearly a poor season by everyone's standards. Just back on Cody, I thought Gakpo again when he came on didn't come on and rip it up, but came on and just seemed to fit straight into the team. It felt to me like when he came on, he knew exactly what his role was, what he was supposed to do. And sometimes when you get a particularly new player, when they come on like that, you can feel a little bit clunky, and it feels like the flow of the game can be broken a little bit. But there was the complete opposite. I thought the game started to flow a little bit more when he came on. I thought he settled into his role really, really quickly, and it strikes me that he's really starting to understand that position now. And I certainly think I would be probably starting him on Sunday. I think that's really important. I'd have Mo and Darwin either side of him.
Yeah.
I think he's starting to have the look of a player who I think could become really important for us. I do. I mean, it is early days, very early days. But he looks to me like a more mobile version of Bobby, who potentially. I mean, it is potential at this stage because he hasn't really got firing for us. But based on what he'd done previously, potentially could be much more prolific than Bobby was. So that bodes well, I think. And I certainly think just the way he seems to be looking for other players and linking up with other players and understanding the movement that Klopp wants from him in that position. We saw little signs of that today when he came on, and we've seen it building game after game over the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, for me, I think definitely be starting Gakpo on Sunday with Darwin on the left and Mo on the right.
Dave, just before we move on to have a closer look at Sunday, I know there's one thing we talked about before we came on air. I'm trying to be a bit conscious of making sure we cover the stuff that we first talk about when we come on, and we tend to have this little 5-minute discussion before we hit record where it's like, oh, do you see this? Do you see this? And then sometimes that can be conflated with discussing it in the podcast, and we'll remember afterwards that we didn't even cover it. And it happened with the Connor Cody thing the other week against Everton, and that ended up with you having like an all-timer rant in your match report. If you haven't read that yet, you should definitely go back and read it because it's one for the ages. But Fabinho's booking tonight. Can you begin to unpack that?
Well, I haven't seen any replays of it, so I'm just going on what I've seen at the time. But what I seen at the time was Lamina, who'd been taking chances all night. He actually played well, to be fair. He did a lot of good things, but he was taking chances. And he took another chance and he'd overran the ball. And we were going to win that ball and they were in big trouble. And he knew it. And he's really lunged in. His foot's high, so his studs are up. He's out of control. And Fabinho sees him coming. And, like, quite rightly, Fabinho isn't exactly pulling out the tackle, but he's just trying to get out the way of being, just completely, like, wiped out. So Fabinho doesn't go in as committed as Lamina's going in because he's just, like, trying to get out the way. And it's blatantly obvious that, like, one, it's a free kick to us. Two, it's a yellow card minimum. It might be worse. I've not seen a replay of it, so I don't know. But the way he's gone in with his...
Yellow's right, David.
With his foot up like that, you have seen red cards, but as I say, it depends. But at minimum, it's a yellow card for Lamina, and it's a free kick to us. And I knew, but like just by our players' reactions, that he'd give them the foul. Straight away, like, the way our players reacted, it was like just disbelief. And I'm thinking, this soft cunt's giving them the free kick here. And then he books Fabinho. I'm like, well, so maybe I've missed something, but apparently I haven't, because, people who've seen it have said, no, Fabinho's just trying to get out the way, and then he catches him, like, sort of, because Lamina's just come, like, flying through. It was staggering to me, it really was, but, I had a proper rant after that one as well, like, I was going on about, like, is there like some kind of cloning machine in Manchester where they're just churning out like these baldy bastard shit referees? Because it just feels like every referee that you have these days is like some bald dickhead from Manchester. It is though, isn't it? It's like, how many of them is there? And like, you get rid of Lee Mason, you think, okay, well there's one down, but they just keep popping up. There must be like a conveyor belt in Manchester that's just churning them out.
Did you see the absolute disdain on Kloppo's face when Tierney went past him to check the monitor for VAR?
I haven't seen it, no. But he doesn't like him, does he?
Absolute derision pouring off Klopp as he walks past him.
He's the ref.
He despises him. He clearly despises Tierney. Very funny. Like, try and catch it on the highlights.
The cameras got it that time, didn't he? Like during COVID, when you could hear what everyone was saying on the pitch at the end of games, and Klopp went up to him and he went, I've got no problems with any referees except for you. And he's still getting our games.
That's still the case, judging by the look on Klopp's face tonight. Yeah. He can't stand him.
He's not the only one.
I think Tierney did acknowledge that, in a way, in his own way, acknowledged that he probably shouldn't have handed out that yellow card because Fabinho had a second bookable offence about looking at my notes here about like 10 minutes before. No,
that was unlucky. Though the only reason Fabinho fouled him is because that lad completely miscontrolled the ball, and the ball didn't go where Fabinho was about to make a challenge. So that would have been ridiculously harsh if he'd have booked him for that, because Fabinho's not even trying to foul him. He thinks the ball's going somewhere, and the lad's totally miscontrolled it, and it's gone the other way, and then he's just tripped him up. So that was just a complete accident, that one.
All right, good stuff. So should we have a quick look ahead at the weekend? Traditionally speaking, this is the game.
Do we have to?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we do. It's the one that we kind of either most look forward to or most dread, along with the Old Trafford game as well. The Old Trafford game was kind of took us by surprise, really, but it was very much a sign of what was to come this season, wasn't it? It's like you look back on it now, and it's like the season has very much followed that same pattern. So, does what happened tonight, Paul? Does 4 clean sheets in a row? Does 10 points from 12? Does a host of good performances all over the field tonight and some, progress in that department give you a good feeling going into the weekend?
Yeah, I certainly feel more positive about it, and you take all those things than not, wouldn't you? I mean, I think I get the feeling that the players are quietly starting to get into gear. They're not absolutely firing, but things are just starting to slot into place. We are exerting a bit more control over things. Individual performances are coming through. Players who've fallen off a cliff are starting to find some form again. I mean, I think I didn't get involved in the conversation about Fabinho earlier, but I was really struck by how Fabinho did seem much more like Fabinho tonight, and on the back of a decent performance the other week as well. So yeah, I think you have to be heartened by those things, but that's not to say that we take it lightly. I think I'm pleased it's Anfield. I think the crowd will be up for it. That will help, but they're going to be dangerous. So one of the things that we've really struggled with this season is just in ourselves dealing with the fatigue that we've clearly been suffering from, and that's most exposed when we play against teams who can play very fast, top class football, and that's what they can do. So we need to be at it physically. We need to be at it mentally. We've got to be really, really concentrating. So I think it's going to require 3 points on Sunday is going to require a real top class Liverpool team performance, and the crowd will definitely be instrumental in that. We will have to be right behind them and get the players up for it and supporting them. I mean, I just think the clean sheets is a positive factor going into it. Our defending has been atrocious, but to get these clean sheets in the league on the bounce, I think the players have to take heart from that, surely. And they've also got to start looking at it as something to hold on to now. I want to see them fighting for the clean sheets. I want to see them really thinking that's a real achievement to come out of a game with a clean sheet, particularly against the Manx. I mean, I think Rashford is maybe the most informed forward in the league at the moment. He's got a track record of playing well against Trent, and he's got all the attributes that have hurt us this season. So we've got to be right at it. It's going to be a tough one, but I'm feel much happier now than I probably was feeling even a week ago about that game. But it's going to be tough. I think it's definitely a game for the grown-ups. It's a game to have the men back in. I think we need to have definitely be leaving Canate next to Virgil for the pace and power that we're going to need to protect him. Robbo needs to come back in. Hendo needs to come back in.
Yeah.
I'll be leaving Fabinho in the middle, and then the third midfielder. There is an argument for Milner. I think he might go by Chetic, though. Yeah. I think he might go by Chetic, yeah. And then the front three definitely has to be Darwin left, Gakpo middle, and Mo right, I think. And we've got to control the game. We've got to be well organised. We've got to be aggressive, and we've got to try and play our own game as well. Play our own football. We shouldn't be overawed just because of the form that they're in and the form that we're coming out of. I think we should be looking at it as we've got to be going for 3 points. We need to be winning the game. We need to be aiming to win that game on Sunday, and hunting them down in terms of getting top 4. That should be our attitude, and I think it will be our attitude. I think the crowd will be behind them. Keep it tight at the back, early goal, and who knows what might happen. But then we saw tonight, for the first time in ages, we're getting second half goals, which was a nice change. So, listen, at the end of the day, 3 points is all we want, really, on Sunday. But I certainly feel much more comfortable about it now than I would have done, even a week ago. I think things are just starting to feel like there's momentum, genuine momentum coming. Not momentum where you're clutching at straws and trying to pick out things that all fit together nicely. There are real clear signs now that we've got these clean sheets. We're starting to score. I think we're controlling the game. Players are coming into individual form. Yeah, I think there's some good signs.
Mm-hmm. Dave, on paper, this is a nasty matchup for us. I think. Like, I've watched them a few times in recent weeks, and when I say watch them, I watch the game until they score, and then I go fuck this, and I turn the TV over because it's really fucking frustrating. Because they're really good at sort of like soaking up pressure and being second best, I should say, and they're absolutely clinical on the counter going forward. And they've done it umpteen times lately when I've watched them against Leicester, against Leeds, against Barcelona, and they're just really good at it. And those are some of our weaknesses, really, that we've suffered from this season, like the inability to break down stubborn teams and then just getting caught on fast break. And Paul said Rashford's probably the most informed striker in the league at the moment. You can make an argument that he's the most informed player in Europe at the moment. Like, he's absolutely flying. And, they're looking good. They came from behind and won again tonight against West Ham in the Cup. They got silverware at the weekend. The big result against Barcelona. They are absolutely riding the crest of a wave at the moment. So it's going to be really, really important on Sunday, I think, that we start well. And as Paul says as well, the crowd's going to be instrumental in that.
Yeah, it's a bad matchup for us. Like, the whole styles make fights thing. It's like if you want a team to play a certain way against us to be successful, it's kind of just it's them. They'd be like the blueprint for it at the moment. Things that they do well are things that we have problems with. I do think we'll win the game, but I think we'll have to score 3 goals to do it. I don't see us keeping them out. Yeah. I don't see us keeping them out. I can see it being one of those like mad games.
I agree with that.
Like, we used to have those games against them, like, when they were better than us. They'd come to Anfield, and even though they were better than us, a lot of the time, like, we'd managed to turn them over anyway, even though there was like a gulf in class at times. Well, there's not a gulf in class now. I mean, we're still a team that nearly won everything last year. Yeah, we've not played well, but the muscle memory's still there. We've got great players. It's not a mismatch by any means. They're ahead of us in the league, but I still think, like, on like a one-off basis, there's no reason why we should be able to beat them. So I'm confident in that respect. But it is in the back of my mind that there's also the potential that this could go like quite badly wrong for us if we're not quite at it.
I don't think
you can't be
happen.
doing stupid mistakes. We've
agreed.
got to be mistake free, because if we make stupid mistakes and give the ball away, letting them have counter attacks and stuff, we're asking for trouble and we'll probably be punished. But if we can avoid that, I think we've got enough to be able to hurt them at the other end, because.
Yeah.
What Chris said's right, about them soaking up pressure and that, but they also ride the luck a lot of times, and I think you can get at them. So if the forwards are on it, I think we'll win the game.
I don't think we'll have a mare. I think if we lose, it'll be, we'll have gone toe to toe, and the better team will have come through it. What I don't think we're going to have is a complete collapse or an embarrassment. I don't see that at all. What I do think might be coming, and I feel like I've probably said this about 3 or 4 times this season at least.
10-0.
I just
you're not with the 10-0.
I just feel like things are going to click for Darwin. I think it could be a big game for Darwin on Sunday. I just get that it's the point we were making before. Chris was talking about how he buzzes off Anfield and he buzzes off the crowd, and he loves hearing his name chanted, and we're all trying to will him on, aren't we?
Yeah.
The whole of the ground is desperate for him to really, really, really get firing. It's like it feels like we're right on the cusp of having a new proper cult hero. It's not quite there yet. We just need the goals to fly, and it feels like
the stage
this could be
for him.
Yeah, the stage is there. This could be the game that makes his name. It really gets him going.
Yeah.
Do you remember that game when
I'm with you?
A hat trick against the Manx? That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That would be really nice. Who knows? I mean, at the end of the day, we just any of us would take a scruffy 1-0 at this stage. But I don't. What I don't think we're going to get is we're not going to get an embarrassment from Liverpool. I think we're coming out of that stage now. I'm not saying that we're going to get a fully functioning, fully firing Liverpool, but I don't think we're going to get an embarrassment. And I think we're going to get a team that will put up a fight and give a good account of itself. Whether that's enough to win or not, I don't know. But I think if the forwards click, and particularly Darwin clicks, I think we'll win.
What we need is the Real Madrid first half, and then without
sustained,
without the mistakes.
Yeah, sustained, yeah.
Performance like that without the mistakes, and
the energy stays up as well. That we can't have that complete fall away in energy. That's really important. Mm-hmm. And I was quite pleased that Hendo didn't come on for very long today, because I think we're going to need Hendo on Sunday. I was pleased he only did he do 10 minutes or so today when he came on. It wasn't much, was it? I really feel like we're going to need a strong 90 minutes out of Hendo on Sunday, I think. So that was good tonight that we didn't overplay him.
Or at least a strong 75. I don't know whether we'll get 90, but I agree that he's going to be really important, but these are games where he always does well. For all the criticism that Hendo gets, and some of it's justified because he's playing too much and he can't do it. He's playing too many games and he's no longer capable of producing his level when he's playing as often as he is. But if you manage his games and he's playing once a week or big games, you always know he's going to be great in a derby game. Play Henderson against Everton, he's going to be the best player on the pitch, more often than not. Those games are where he comes into his own. So I'm expecting a big performance from him on Sunday. But the problem with Hendo is we've overplayed him. So I'm glad he didn't play tonight, and he got 10 minutes at the end, whatever. Yeah, it was the right thing to do to leave him out, because you cannot keep wheeling him out playing all these games. It impacts his performance. So
Did you see since the start of last season? I think tonight was. I might get this slightly wrong, but it's only wrong by 1 or 2. I think tonight was his 96th appearance since the start of last season for club and country, which is just insane, isn't it? For a player of his age, it's absolutely insane. It's quite clearly taken its toll. And I think a few weeks ago, I can't remember whether it was you said or someone else on the pod, Dave, he needs to be thrown in the towel with England, I think, now. He shouldn't be playing any more England games.
Yeah.
He's got to be fully... Because I think he could sustain his Liverpool career for years to come. Obviously, with diminishing returns, he'd play less. He'd move more into the Milner role. But he can continue to be a really, really important player for us, and captain for a good few years yet. But he's got to curtail all that international football, because his body can't handle it. So, he's effectively had a week off going into the United game. I think that's really important.
Maybe we're just keeping him around the England squad just to tap up Bellingham for now. And then once Bellingham comes in, Hendo's my work's done. I'm retiring from England now.
Yeah. That'll do nicely.
I mean, he, by the same token, he's also secured his successor as well. So it's my work is double done.
He's maybe there just to keep the Man City players away from him.
Yeah.
Who do you think is our most important? I think, Paul might have made his point clear that it might be Darwin on Sunday, but who do you think is our most important player this weekend, Dave?
Trent.
Yeah.
Yeah, good shout.
He's not going to directly be up against Rashford. I mean, they might play Rashford centre forward rather than on the left. I mean, I think the sensible thing for them, the smart thing for them to do is to play him on the left, because that's where the space is against us. But Trent's not going to be man-for-man marking him. Trent's still going to do his thing. He's going to be up the pitch, and it'll be Kanate who's tasked with doing that. Because, Trent didn't really come up against Vinicius Junior that much. It was mainly Joe Gomez, wasn't it? The way we play. But Trent is still going to be vitally important, because he is going to have to do some defending against Rashford if he's on that side. And he's also our most creative force as well. So... a big game from Trent on Sunday is really important for us, I think.
Speaking of going forward, though, he's probably going to get a little bit more freedom than he's been accustomed to, because Rashford, say what you want about him going forward, he doesn't track back at all.
No,
he's kind of lazy on that front, and he'll just hang out in those spaces and hurt you then. But hopefully we can do some damage of our own in that department. Paul, I'm thinking that on Sunday we might need a performance we're probably going to need our biggest performance of the season. I think like equal to, if not better than that Man City game back in October or whatever it was.
Well,
Seems
definitely,
like a million years
absolutely.
ago
I no doubt, Chris. I think it will. If we're going to get a result, if we're going to get a win, it will have to be our best performance of the season, and probably by some distance as well. We're going to have to be right at it. It's tough. It's tough, and definitely our biggest challenge of the season so far, I think. For all the reasons that you laid out before, they're absolutely banging form. They're dangerous, and they're a little bit like their strengths fit our weaknesses, as I think Dave was saying.
Yeah.
But I just come back to the point I made when you first asked me to comment on Sunday, is that you asked me about all the little positives. Do they add up to much? I think they do. I do feel that we are now coming out of that sort of horror stage of the season, and we're now finding a bit of a groove. We're not fully firing. I think that's clear. But we're not, we're moving away from that sort of embarrassing, shambolic, it's a mess, what the hell's going on stage. And I think maybe I'm damning us with faint praise here. But I do feel like there's a real coherence coming now. And I think that can be galvanised with a big match at Anfield with the crowd behind us on Sunday. I just think the crowd will be so important because we will be right up for it because pride's at stake. We know what a season we've had. And the last thing any of us want is that lot coming to our place and taking 3 points. As potentially they could still be going for the title. I know it's not likely. I don't think they're going to win the league. I think it's still between the top two. But I definitely think, listen to Ten Hag talking the other day. He thinks the title's on. He's going for more trophies this season, including the title. So the last thing we want to be doing is rolling over for them. As they try and win the league. So no, I think we'll be right up for it, and the players will respond. And I think the players will. I feel pretty confident we'll put in a good performance on Sunday. Whether it's enough to win, we'll have to see. But I think it'll go well for us.
Yeah. I mean, the point you made about pride is a really big one because all of our pride has suffered a lot this season. Look at where they are now, and look at where we are, and look at how that was a year ago when they came to Anfield, and we just made an absolute mockery of them and beat them 4-0 and played them off the park, and it could have been worse at 9-0 season aggregate, and it's kind of now they're the ones going for the 4 trophies and we're the ones who aren't in anything. So I think the players will think that they owe us this one a little bit. Like they're going to be unbelievably up for this, and if they can control their emotions, and you said we're not fully flying yet. Wouldn't Sunday just be a great time to do it?
Yeah, it
just
really
to hit top gear for perhaps
it really was
only the second or third time this season, and really give us some of that pride back and make that on a little bit more of an even keel as we move into the final stage of the season. Dave, is there anything else that you want to add about Sunday before we call it a night? We've gone over an hour here, so
yeah, no, just what you said there. I think the Real Madrid performance, the first half, we were flying in that first half. That was the best we played in a long time. That's what we need. If we play like that, without the stupid mistakes,
sustain it.
Yeah, you can't sustain it for 90 minutes. Like even when we were at our best, we didn't do that. We still had lulls in games, but when we have lulls now, a lot of the time that's when we end up conceding, and it's like we're not taking advantage of the high moments. And then when we have those low moments, that's when we're most vulnerable. So we've just got to be careful when the tempo drops and take advantage when the tempo's high. And if we do that, I think we'll win the game. If we don't, it's going to be a long day.
All right, nice. Paul, anything else?
No, mate. I'm actually quite looking forward to it in that kind of nervy way you get before big games. I didn't think I'd be saying that even before tonight, really. But I am actually quite looking forward to it now. I just, bring it on. Let's twat those bastards. Let's go for it. Let's really go for it. You know what I mean? Let's recover some pride this season and show what we're about. We're not a shambles. We're not the mess that everyone has had us down as. There's plenty left to play for us this season.
If we win on Sunday, we'll get 4th. And
no doubt.
The reason I'm saying that is, Klopp said it himself the other day that there's 45 points to play for. That was before tonight. So 45 points, And I was looking at the table and like what you normally need for fourth, and it's normally 70 is normally enough. Sometimes it's a bit less, sometimes it's a little bit more, but generally 70 would do it. But this year, Tottenham are fourth at the moment. Tottenham have lost 8 times this season. They've lost 8 games and they're fourth. So Tottenham, at this rate, they're going to lose a few more games. You're probably looking at like mid-60s is going to get you fourth place. So we've got 45 points to play for, 42 now because we picked 3 up tonight. Prior to tonight, I was looking at the 45 thinking 30, 32 is probably going to be enough. And that doesn't sound like that difficult to do if you just up your game a bit. Because it's like, as shit as we've been, we're right there. We're not far off. As shit as we've been, look how close we are to Newcastle, who are having a apparently great season. And look where we are. We're right on Newcastle's coattails, despite being shit all season. So if we go...
And we're getting the clean sheets, and the forwards are starting to score, and it just feels like the bandwagon's starting to roll.
We only need to get a bit better. We don't need to be at 100 points a season level. We don't need that. We just need to be better than we have been. And I also think it's getting close to that time now, where Diaz is going to be back, and I think that's massive. I really think that's absolutely massive, getting him back. Assuming he comes back and doesn't have any setbacks and he hits the ground running, that makes a massive difference to us. It really does. It just gives us so many options. You know, because then you've got like your bench options. You can have games where maybe Darwin's on the bench or Gakpo's on the bench. It just, or Diaz on the bench. It just gives you like options to change things around, and the options that we haven't had. And like that unpredictability. You know, I keep going on about like, if Darwin's not playing, I don't even want to watch us because it's just so dull. Well, Diaz coming back changes that completely. Because it's like, if Darwin's not playing but you've got Diaz, well, you're fine. You've still got like that, you know, unpredictability, that explosiveness, someone who can just do something out of nothing. And then if you've got both of them, and then your third player's Mo, you know, that is your front three. You know, that should be enough to get fourth, really should. But I think Sunday is the game that really will kickstart it. If we win that, I'm not worried at all about fourth. I've been confident we get fourth all season, really, because I just keep thinking it can't carry on like this. You know, we're going to get better at some point. And it does feel like we're starting to come out of it. We've still got a long way to go, but Sunday would be ideal chance to really get us back on track. You know, big
just
win,
really galvanise us, wouldn't it? It would really galvanise us.
Boosts everyone's spirits and that, and sets up the rest of the season. And then maybe, like, you know, we win that, then maybe we can start looking at the Bernabeu and thinking, what, you know, 4-0's like, you know.
listen.
No, just a quick point on that, right? I just want to say one quick point on that. I'm not saying we're going to the Bernabeu and winning, but I'd completely forgotten about it until it was Courtois mentioned it in an interview. And like they said, oh, is this tie over? And he went, well, no, because we were 3-0 down to Chelsea at home last season. And I was like, fucking hell, yeah, I forgot about that. Chelsea went there and went 3-0 up. Now, it didn't end well for them. You know, like Madrid did what they do and like they did enough to go through. But, you know, Chelsea went there and scored, like, got themselves to 3-0 up, scored 3 goals. So, you know, Diaz might be back for that, and we'll see.
Dave, if we batter the Manx on Sunday, I'm coming on this pod with Wales in me by the time I get home, talking about the league title, mate. So never mind, just win the European Cup.
And I'll tell you something else, Paul. If we do go to, if we beat United and we go to Madrid and we start doing that, I'm going to be giving it the, see, that's why I wanted to draw them. I told you, and you wouldn't listen.
Oh man, you two, for God's sake, you've done such a great job on rounding that off then, and I was sitting here purring, waiting to wrap it up with, your big win's at the weekend's going to galvanise us and move us towards our goal of fourth place, and here you guys are talking about league titles and fucking winning 4-0 in the Bernabeu.
Would you rather me be talking about Pele's soft cock?
God damn it.
I forgot about that.
Damn it. Alright.
Soft penis.
You guys are dicks. Alright.
Are we soft dicks?
My air conditioning just kicked in there and ruined the audio there as well, so sorry about that. Hey, anyway, soft penises or hard penises, we've got a big game to look forward to at the weekend. Big game to look forward to at the weekend. Man United come to Anfield, and as the lad said, hopefully we can get a big win there, galvanise us moving forward to the rest of the season. And maybe we'll go and win 4-0 on the Bernabeu as well. We're all looking forward to that one. A great win for the Reds tonight. Some good performances all over the field. Lots to feel good about. Let's hope that continues into the weekend. Dave and the boys will be back straight after the game on Sunday, but until then, we'll catch you soon.
Well, the best word I can say, but will describe this, was boom. Woo, what was this? It was really good.